friends. Welcome to our full moon yoga class today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've taken any of my classes before, welcome back. If this is your first time taking a class with me, thank you so much for joining. Before we get started, I just want to introduce myself. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Sorry about that. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet. If you're watching it on YouTube, there should be a little button somewhere around here for you to subscribe. But either way, I just wanted to say hello. My name is Al. I am a yoga teacher and I make videos here on YouTube to try to make yoga more time accessible for people. So, a lot of my videos on here are somewhere between 5 and 30 minutes so that you can do yoga any day. This class is going to be 60 minutes and it's going to be a slow flow class. So we're definitely going to kind of slow things down and hopefully have more of a sort of peaceful vibe to our class today. And the theme of our class is this full moon in Sagittarius, which is an eclipse, this particular full moon, which means that the moon is falling within the shadow of the earth. So it's a little bit more intense than your typical full moon. I don't know how everybody else's day is going, but personally, I have had a really hectic day, feeling a lot of sort of chaotic energy in the air, and it seems like a lot of strange, mostly like bad things are happening from what I'm gathering from like just people in my life. It just feels really hectic and like things are just kind of going wrong left and right. There's a lot of sort of tension and tragedy that I'm hearing about. So I feel like I really want to focus this class on just taking a step back from that and being present. I have felt very like in my head and very overwhelmed all day, and even in the past week leading up to this full moon. And I think it can be really overwhelming dealing with some things going on in our lives, maybe big changes or transitions or a new truth that you're stepping into for yourself, whether it be like a major life change, a decision to change jobs, start your education doing something else, or whatever it is, issues with relationships. Like everybody I think has their own kind of thing going on that is very transformative right now. And with that like change in our lives and accepting new truth and stepping into something that is new, something that is unfamiliar to us, comes the necessity to also let go and be present and be at peace with whatever it is that's going on in your life. So I know things might feel really crazy for you right now, and if that's the case, I hope that we can just kind of relax and release some of that and just allow this next hour to be a space where we can restore and be present with ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the practice. I do have music going in the background, so let me know if you can hear that, if it's too loud or too quiet at any point. I don't want it to drown out my voice, but I also don't want it to be like so quiet that you can't hear it. So I'm actually going to adjust it up a little bit. So just let me know if anything is weird with the sound as we start getting going. All right. So we'll get started in a reclined position tonight. So go ahead and lay down on your mat. And you can take your arms down by your sides. Just let your legs rest. Maybe the feet fall a little bit away from one another. Rest your head, rest your shoulders. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can go ahead and close them or just lower them and let them be nice and soft here. Feel very supported by the ground underneath you. And together we'll take a big breath in through the nose. And then open the mouth and sigh it out. Another breath in through the nose. And sigh it out through the mouth. Continue with this long, deep breath. So, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just allow your breathing to become longer and deeper than your natural breath. So when we start to feel overwhelmed or feel a lot of chaos or stress, it's very common to kind of forget to breathe deeply, or maybe your fight or flight kind of kicks in and you start to breathe more heavily, or not even more heavily, but more quickly, so that your breath is a little shorter. As you take these long, super deep breaths, allowing your chest to expand as much as possible, and then emptying out your belly as much as possible with the exhale. Maybe just become aware of how this long, deep breath is the longest, deepest breath that maybe you've taken all day. And allow your breath to soften and ground your entire body. Notice where you are holding on to tension. So do you carry tension from your shoulders onto the mat, anywhere along your spine, your hips? Just take a moment here to release that. As we find this stillness, see if you can also invite that stillness to your mind as well. Let the only movement in your body and mind be your breath and your awareness of it. Take 3 more long, deep breaths right here with me. Stay right there. Just checking in on the chat. Feel free to drop a note in the chat if you have any questions, comments throughout. I will check it periodically just to make sure everybody's doing okay. All right, go ahead and let both feet slide up, landing the soles of the feet down on the mat. So our knees are making this upside down V shape. And go ahead and just hug the right knee in towards the chest to start. Hold that knee into your chest. And then draw some circles with the right knee. So just bringing some life into that right hip joint as we just draw some small circles in one direction. Doesn't matter which direction. And then go ahead and switch directions. And notice how your low back moves as you bring your knee in circles. So notice if you're like really rocking from one hip to another as you kind of go around in your circle. Maybe see if you can keep the low back nice and grounded here. These don't have to be the biggest circles in the world. We're just kind of starting to wake up the body. Next time your knee comes towards your chest, pause there, hugging the knee inward. And then release your hands from the top of your leg and extend the right leg all the way up to the sky. So the sole of the foot is parallel to the ceiling and the toes are drawing back towards your face. Start to feel some activation in this leg. And you can keep it lifted just like this, floating up in the sky, or you can interlace the fingers right behind the right thigh and just find a little tension to draw the knee a little closer to your face. Invite a little stretch into the right hamstring muscles. And then maybe if you have some space, you can start to walk the hands up the leg. And breathe here. Release the hands down. Keep that leg lifted. Press through the opposite heel, so the grounded left heel here, and lift the hips just ever so slightly up towards the sky. So just a little bridge pose here with one leg lifted up. And just feel a little bit of activation in the glute muscles here of the left leg. With a big breath out, release the hips back down and lower the sole of the right foot all the way back down to meet the left. Go ahead and take the left knee in towards the chest now, hugging it in. And then we'll start to draw those circles with the left knee in one direction. Again, doesn't matter which direction. Just starting to find a little space and a little movement on this side. And then go ahead and switch directions. Come to stillness with the leg and then extend the left leg all the way up to the sky. Sole of the foot shining up to the ceiling. And then you have the option to interlace the fingers behind that left thigh and just find a little tension there. Awakening the hamstrings. And then maybe if it feels okay, you can start to walk the hands up the left leg towards the ankle. Just deepening and breathing into this stretch. Release the hands down to either side of your hips, palms face down. Press into your right heel and then lift the hips evenly up off the mat. Strong in that right leg. One more breath in. And exhale, release. Lower the left foot down. Now take both knees into the chest and just rock from side to side. And fall over onto either side to find your fetal position. Take a breath here. No big rush to roll over yet. And then go ahead and prop yourself up, coming to all fours. So from our tabletop position, We'll take a moment to just find our alignment. So shoulders are over the wrists, hips are right over the knees, and then we'll just stretch out the wrists a little bit by just shifting the weight gently forward and back. So as you shift forward, you should feel a stretch in the backs of the hands, the forearms. And then as you shift back, you might sink the hips a little lower towards an almost child's pose. If you'd like to make that a little deeper, you can walk the hands a little bit farther forward so that you can sink a little deeper into your child's pose. So just shifting up and down out of your tabletop. And if you'd like to add on to this, once your shoulders come back over your wrists, you can also start to drop your hips down for a cobra pose. Just very gentle here, so keeping yourself moving and flowing at whatever pace feels good for you. Stick with that. I'm just gonna check in again. All right, beautiful. Next time you come back through your tabletop shape, we'll pause there and just walk the hands back in if you kind of adjusted them, returning to your tabletop. With the inhale, drop your belly, lift your head, lift your heart, cow pose. Exhale, round the spine, look between the arms to the tops of the thighs, cat. And continue with that on the breath. Inhaling to open. Exhaling to round. Allowing yourself to move with your breath here. So very aware of your breath, just like at the beginning of class, finding that long, deep breath and letting it be your guide. I do really want to focus on this conscious breathing today. Just because things, for me at least, are feeling kind of out of control, like really chaotic. And being able to stop and remind yourself to breathe and just give yourself permission to tap into your conscious breathing, your awareness in high stress situations is such a powerful, powerful skill. Let's take one more deep breath here with our cat and cows. And return to your neutral tabletop position. From your tabletop, walk the hands to either side, so off each edge of the mat a little bit. So we're in this like wide-armed tabletop position. Start to bend into the left elbow as you lower the right elbow down towards the mat. So we're just taking a little shoulder stretch here. So I'm just going to show you guys from this angle. So you'll bend into one elbow and then lengthen into the other arm as you lower the shoulder down to the mat. In order to kind of get the shoulder stretch, you might have to rotate the long arm hand over towards the side, if that makes sense. So adjust your hands as needed so you can really sink into this. And then we'll straighten into the bent arm and switch sides. Again, adjusting the hands if you need to. And just flowing back and forth. So as you inhale, you can start to lift, and as you exhale, start to lower and melt. One more breath here. And take one more just to even out the sides. Return to center. Walk the hands back in, right under your shoulders for your tabletop. Take the knees as wide as the mat, toes together, and shift your hips back. Walk the hands forward for child's pose. Just rest your forehead down. If you need a little extra space, you can take your forehead on a block. You can put a pillow or a folded blanket between your hips and your heels. So a couple different options here, but no matter what you're doing, just make sure that you are in a shape that feels restful for you. And just notice your breath. Notice how you feel. Allowing yourself to be still for a few breaths. And notice if there's any difference for you being aware of your breath while we are in this still position versus being aware of your breath while we are finding movement and coordinating our breathing with the movements. Are you able to focus on the breath a little more when we are still? Or maybe it helps to focus when you have something to align it with. There's no right or wrong answer to that question, just kind of being aware of what helps you to find your breath. One more breath here, and then we'll start to shift back up to our tabletop position. Once you arrive there, curl your toes under, lift the knees, and shift your hips up and back to our first downward facing dog. So take a couple moments here to pedal out your feet and find any movements or holds in your downward dog that feel good for you. So I like to dip one heel at a time down towards the mat and bend into the opposite knee. So maybe that works for you. Maybe something a little different feels good for you. Wherever you are, just make sure you're bending into your knees enough that you can find a long straight line from your hands to the tailbone. So focusing on lengthening the spine over getting the legs nice and straight. So if you want to look up to the screen, you can see I'm like really deeply bending into my knees right now. But my spine is nice and long and my head is in line with my shoulders. So this is a very good version of downward dog. A lot of times we see people who are like pressing their heels straight down, legs like locked out, knees locked out, but the back isn't straight and it looks more like this. So just kind of a note, something to be aware of in your down dog. Nothing wrong with bending the knees. It feels a lot better for a lot of people when they realize that. Bend a little more into those knees, look forward to the hands, and start to tiptoe the feet towards the top of your mat. So landing the feet right behind the hands, knees can stay a little bent, and just release the head and neck into a nice forward fold. Fingers can stay tented on the mat, or you can grab opposite elbows and just let your upper body hang. And breathe here. We shake the head yes and no a couple times if that helps you to release any tension in the neck. And then if you're holding onto your elbows here, release them. Let the hands slide up the legs to either the shins or tops of the thighs so that you can extend the crown of the head out in front of you, creating a relatively flat back here. Nice long spine, looking straight down. And then with a big breath out, release back into your forward fold. Inhale, start to roll up. coming towards your standing position, nice and slow, no rush. Once you arrive, your head comes up, shoulders roll up and back. So once you've arrived here with me, let's just take a couple rolls of the shoulder. So taking the shoulders up towards the ears and then down and back. We tend to hold on to a lot of tension in the shoulders, especially when we're stressed and overwhelmed, which, as I mentioned, is kind of a big theme, a big mood during this new moon. This is kind of one of the easiest ways to just release that a little bit and massage it out without getting a literal massage. All right, go ahead and release, shake out the shoulders a little bit. Just kind of let yourself flail a little bit and shake out any kind of energy that is built up in the body. And then we'll come to stillness. Inhale, sweep both arms up high. And with an exhale, hinge forward from your hips and return to your forward fold. Plant the hands, step the left foot back, so coming to a runner's lunge shape. Lower the back knee, flip the top of the back foot down. And take the right hand to the inside of the right leg for a moment here. So we're in this this sort of lunge, but with our hands on the inside of the right foot. You might start to feel a stretch in the hip right here. You can either stay here with both hands down, or if it feels good for you, you can take that right hand onto the inside of the right knee or thigh and just gently press it open a little bit. Just finding a little more depth here in that stretch. And then another option to take the hand onto the low back and just find a little twist. If that feels okay, you might extend the right arm up towards the sky. And then we'll take a little bit of a flow with that. So with the inhale, reach the arm up or just take it to your low back. And with the exhale, rotate your chest back down towards the mat and place the right hand back down on the inside of the right leg. So moving with the breath. Inhale to peel the arm up or place it on the low back and twist. Exhale, release. Inhale to open. Exhale, release. Inhale to open. Exhale, release. One more time like that. The next time you inhale, we're going to place the right hand down firmly and lift the left arm up. So twisting in the opposite direction. Exhale, release. And then just start to switch off. So inhale, twisting towards the right. Exhale, release. Inhale, open up to the left. Exhale, release. Inhale to the right. Exhale, release. Inhale to the left. Exhale, release. Pause here. Start to walk the hands back towards your hips as you straighten into the right leg. Right toes can peel off the mat and point up towards the ceiling. Just finding a nice half split pose here. You can keep the hips lifted and hovered over the back knee, or if it feels better or good for you, you can sit all the way back. Wherever you are, those right toes pointing straight up will help you to find that stretch in your hamstring and also in the calf muscles. All right, we'll start to walk the hands back forward, returning to our runner's lunge shape. So hands on either side of the front foot this time, framing it. Curl the back toes under and hover the back knee. Plant the hands down so that you can pluck the right foot off the mat and step it back to a plank. Now you can stay here in your plank if you want a little bit of a stronger practice, or tap the knees down for a modified plank. We'll all bend into our elbows to, with control, lower all the way down onto the yoga mat. With a breath in, we'll move to our baby cobra. So pressing into the hands, lift your head and heart. Still gazing down, but maybe just towards the front edge of your mat here. Elbows are hugging in, shoulder blades drawing together. Low back is strong. Notice if there's a lot of weight in those front hands. Maybe hover them off the mat for a moment just to make sure you're using the strength of your low back to lift your heart. And then lower them back down carefully. Wow. Inhale to lift any amount higher. And exhale, release your forehead back down to the mat. Curl the toes under. Press yourself back up through your plank or just through a tabletop position. And with a breath out, we'll all return to downward facing dog. Breathing here for a few rounds of breath. Again, allowing yourself to bend into the knees if that helps you to lengthen the spine. And then look forward to your hands and tiptoe your feet towards the top of the mat again for your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins or thighs, crown reaches forward. And with a big breath out, release into your forward fold. Roll yourself all the way up to stand. Big breath in, sweep the arms up high. And exhale, take your hands to your heart. Take a cleansing breath here. Just allow yourself to feel really rooted into the feet. So notice where each of your toes is making contact with the mat. Just pressing firmly into each and every toe, to all four corners of each foot. And as you stand up nice and tall, see if you can just have that awareness of the energy from the earth, drawing up along your legs, along your spine, through the crown of your head. With a breath in, reach the arms up high. And exhale, hinge forward to your forward fold. Bend into the knees enough that you can plant the hands down and step just the right foot back this time. Runner's lunge. Right knee comes down, top of the right foot comes down. And the hands come to the inside of the left foot. So, a version of our lizard lunge here. Left hand lifts up and can come to the inside of that left thigh to just draw it open a little bit more. So I'm just going to take my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pressing a little bit into the inside of the thigh here. And the inside of that left foot can peel up off the mat a little bit if that feels okay and you feel balanced doing that. Now take the left hand to the low back and start to twist the heart towards the left. And then if you feel stable there, you can start to extend the left hand all the way up to the sky. Stacking the shoulders on top of one another, revolving the heart towards the ceiling. And breathing. And then again, we'll start to find that flow, coordinating our breath with our movement. So inhale to reach up. Exhale, lower the left hand down. Inhale, left hand peels up. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, peel the left arm up. Exhale, release. 3 more just like that. I'm just going to check up on the fan again. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale to lower, and then we'll start switching off. So inhale, left hand plants, right arm reaches. Exhale, release. Inhale, left arm reaches. Exhale, release. Inhale, right arm. Exhale, release. Inhale, left arm. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, right arm. Exhale, release. And then walk the hands back towards the right knee as you straighten the left leg and point the left toes up towards the sky. Keeping the hips hovered over that right knee, or lower the hips all the way down to your heel. Just finding whatever version of this half split feels good for you. I tend to adjust my legs a little bit no matter where I land, just to find the version of the stretch that feels best for me. And breathing. Start to walk the hands back towards that left foot, framing the foot. Curl the back toes under, lift the right knee, and step the left foot back to your plank or modified plank. From here, you can lower down all the way, or if you want to take a full vinyasa, you can stop halfway. Inhale to your upward dog or your baby cobra again. And take a big breath out to return to your downward facing dog. Take a breath in and a big breath out. Another big breath in and out. Bend into both knees, look up towards the hands, and tiptoe the feet towards the top of the mat for your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, crown reaches forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, roll yourself all the way up to stand, sweep the arms up. Exhale, take your hands to your heart. Now, from your mountain pose with your hands at heart center, start to shift the weight into the right foot. And we're going to draw the left knee up towards the chest, just like we did at the beginning of class when we were laying down. Except this time we're balancing on the right leg. Take the left knee and start to draw some circles with the knee. Again, just like we did earlier. This time we have the added challenge of a little bit of balance. So just notice how that feels. If it helps to take the hands to the knee to guide them, you can do that. If it's better for your balance to take your hands to your hips, that might be nice. Wherever you are, switch directions. And notice how this requires a little bit more work in terms of the strength of your hips versus just mobility. Just welcome that maybe a little burn that you're feeling from this. And the next time you come back to center with your left knee in towards your chest, pause here. And then step that left foot back. Not as far as a lunge, maybe about halfway back. You can keep the back heel lifted or lower it down. And we're just going to take a pyramid pose. So hands can come to hips to start. Just start to hinge forward from your hips. Notice if you're locking that front knee, keep a micro bend there just to keep the knee safe. And you'll start to feel that stretch all along the back of that right leg. looking straight down towards your toes. Now, if you're able to reach down to the feet or to either side of that front foot, you're welcome to tent or lower your fingers. Just notice if you're rounding your back so much to get there that you are losing that stretch in the legs. If that's the case, you might take your hands to blocks or to a table in front of you or something, or even to like a wall if you have one nearby. And then make sure you have a nice little bend in that knee. Come all the way back up to stand. Step the back foot forward, returning to your mountain pose at the top of your mat. Hands come to heart. And we'll do that on the other side. So shifting the weight into your left foot this time. And draw the right knee in towards your chest. Once you find your balance, we'll start to make those little circles again. So whichever direction you want to start with. Woo. And you might lose your balance like I just did, and that's okay. And again, you can either take your hands to your knee to guide it, kind of like we did when we were laying down. For me, I think it's a little easier to have my hands at my hips to just keep them level. You might recall when we were doing this while laying down, the support of the earth was really helpful for just keeping the hips level and balanced. So it's a little bit more awareness and strength that goes into maintaining your balance while we're literally standing on one leg instead of having every inch of our spine resting on the earth. So just noticing that. Switch directions if you haven't already. And remember to breathe. So this is less of a breath-based movement, but see if you can draw the breath back into it. Maybe inhaling as you lift the knee, exhaling as you lower. For 2 more breaths. And the next time the knee comes up towards your chest, pause there. And then step that right foot about halfway back. Set up your feet. Right heel can come down or stay lifted, whatever feels best for you. And just hinge forward from your hips. Once you feel that stretch along the back of the left leg, you can either keep your hands right where they are on your hips, lower them onto the mat, onto blocks, onto a wall. Just whatever feels good for you. I do really like the wall option because it kind of gives a lot of space to kind of choose how deeply you want to fold into this. The floor or blocks are kind of one height, or I guess there's a couple different options of heights with blocks, but especially if you don't have blocks, it can be really nice to use the wall as a prop. One more breath here. And then make sure you're bending a little into that front knee before we come back up to stand and step that back foot forward. Now widen the stance as wide as you'd like, maybe about 2 times your hips width distance apart. Inhale to reach the arms up and exhale to release into a wide-legged forward fold. Releasing your head and neck. And then a couple options here. So if you'd like, you can keep your hands right under your face. Traditional wide-legged forward fold. Or you can interlace your fingers at your low back if you'd like a little bit more of a heart opener, drawing the shoulder blades together and lifting the knuckles up towards the ceiling. Final option will be to take your hands down and bend into one knee and then the other. Might help to turn the toes so that they're facing a little more outwards. So you can bend a little more deeply into each hip. But really taking this side to side, if this is the path you're taking, to whatever degree and depth feels good for you. So if that's just this and you're feeling a nice stretch there, then that is perfect. If you want to go deeper, you can go further into your Skandasana. Once you sink down, lifting the opposite toes up towards the ceiling. So a few little options here. And again, if you're finding this movement, see if you can incorporate the breath. So maybe inhaling as you press yourself up, exhaling as you lower the hips. And that doesn't have to be your kind of rhythm, just, you know, finding some rhythm in your breath that you can coordinate with your movements. We'll take about 6 more rounds of breath here or so. So just get into your flow. Next time you come back through center in your forward fold, start to roll yourself all the way up to stand. Bring the heels in, heel-toeing the feet towards each other so that you're just slightly wider than hips width distance apart. Heels in, toes out, bend into the knees and sink the hips all the way down to a squat. Now, if this doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can lower the hips down and just sit like this with the knees kind of spread apart and toes still pointing away from each other. If it feels okay to keep your hips hovered off the mat a little bit, you can stay right here with me. Wherever you are, we'll try to take the elbows to the insides of the knees or thighs and press the hands together to open the hips. Breathing here. As you inhale, lengthen the spine, nice and long. Notice if you're rounding in the spine, hunching your shoulders. Try to keep everything nice and open. As you inhale, you can try to open your heart. Bring the shoulder blades to neutral, nice and long spine. And as you exhale, pressing the hands in towards each other. Really feeling that tension between your hands as you breathe out, like they're fighting with each other. One more breath here. And then we'll all lower down to a seated position. Take the legs out long. Inhale to reach the arms up. And exhale to fold forward over your legs, seated forward fold. Hands can land anywhere along the legs. Maybe they reach for the toes. And then we'll start to walk the hands back up towards the hips, sitting up nice and tall here. And take the right knee in towards the chest. Now you can either take the left arm and hook it around that right knee, like you're hugging it, or take the left elbow to the outside of the right knee for a little bit deeper of a bind. Wherever you are, the right hand comes behind you, and we're just finding a simple little twist here. So sitting up nice and tall through the spine, notice if you're really dumping weight into that arm, try to keep it nice and light so that you could easily lift and lower it. Spine nice and long, sitting up tall and breathing. With the inhale, imagine your spine lengthening. And with the exhale, deepening a little further into your twist. 2 more breaths. And then release out of your twist. Straighten the right leg. Hug the left knee in towards your chest this time. And again, either hug that left knee with the right arm or hook the elbow to the outside of the knee. Left fingertips swim behind you and tent somewhere behind your hips. And just make sure that you're not dumping weight into that. You can easily hover and then lower the fingers back down. Sit up nice and tall. And if you do have trouble hovering and lowering those fingers, you might just need to ease out of this twist. So if you're trying to do the bind, but you can't lift your hands, then you're overcompensating by shifting weight into that hand. So maybe just ease out of it and just hold on to that opposite knee and just make this twist a little more gentle for you so that you are able to easily hover and lower the hand. Always just taking things at our own pace and whatever version is right for our bodies. So you don't need your pose to look exactly like mine or exactly like anyone else's. I've been doing yoga for a lot of years now, and there are a lot of shapes that I can't really get into comfortably just because my body isn't built that way, like splits. No, there's no way I can get into a regular split with my legs unless I like force myself into it every day, which is not really what my practice is about for me. So just accepting where I am has been a big part of my journey, and realizing I can have flexible hamstrings, I can have strong legs, and have well cared for hip joints without needing to go into a full split or a full straddle. So sometimes we just need those kind of humbling reminders that it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be perfect for you. Go ahead and release out of this twist. Extend both legs out long. And with control, we're going to lower the upper body all the way down onto the mat. So 1 vertebrae at a time, just lowering yourself all the way down. Releasing the head, arms come down by your sides. Hug the knees in towards your chest. Just give yourself a hug with both knees. And let the knees fall over towards the right. Arms extend out to a T in either direction. And just release here. You should feel a nice release in the low back. Inviting softness to the shoulders. Just preparing the body to be a little bit more still for these last final moments of class. So, we are starting to wind down, and I know this is online and nobody's forcing you to stay for our Shavasana and for our final resting pose, but I do encourage you to stay right where you are and take these last few moments with me. This is usually when I start kind of speaking from my heart and sharing whatever wisdom or message or kind of compassionate voice passes through my mind. So I do invite you to just be present here with me and allow your body to take these last few moments with yourself on your mat to restore. Take the knees into the chest and then lower them to the opposite side, releasing into your twist on this side, breathing, softening into the low back and into the shoulder. And as I mentioned partway through class, I think when we were in our child's pose, you might just take a moment to notice here how this stillness feels a little different from movement. So, we did a few different poses today where we incorporated our breathing with our movement very closely. So, inhaling to one shape, exhaling to a different shape, and flowing back and forth between those. And then we also did some poses like this where we were just a little bit more still and just allowing our breath to help us find that stillness, allowing our breath to be that one source of movement in the body while everything else is still. So maybe just noticing the difference between those, again, whether one is easier for you than the other. And when you do have challenges with keeping your awareness on your breath, where does your mind drift? Go ahead and take your knees back in towards your chest and just let the legs extend out nice and long. Arms come down by the sides. Eyes closed or lowered if they're not already. And just adjust yourself so that you can become nice and comfortable here for the next few minutes. Bring your awareness back to your breathing. Bring your thoughts, your attention back to your breathing. Remember that sensation at the beginning of class of the earth feeling supportive, of recognizing that long, deep breath and how different it is from your natural breathing prior to class. Now, as we move through chaos in our lives, as we navigate things that are maybe really troubling, maybe really challenging, maybe really confusing, you can always come back to your breath. Your breath is always there for you. So you don't necessarily need to roll out your mat and do an entire hour-long yoga practice to have this underlying sense of peace in everything that's going on. You could be having the most out of control, busy day of your life, a million things on your to-do list, everything is going wrong, you're like on the side of the road with your car broken down. I don't know, just imagine some crazy, challenging, frustrating scenario. And you can close your eyes right then and take a deep breath. And I totally understand and know that that's not just going to make all your problems go away. And you will still have a lot of things that you have to deal with and a lot of things that you have to persevere through. Breathing, yoga, meditation, it doesn't eliminate our problems at all. But it helps us come to a place where we can be more aware of them, where we can approach them with a calmer mind and with the recognition and belief in our hearts that everything will work out. How many times have you felt like your world was falling apart? And how many times after you felt like your world was falling apart did you have another moment where you felt pure bliss in your life? We can have both of these things. We can have all of these things. It is very much possible to have the bad and then have the good. So I invite you as we transition back into life, as we transition back into whatever chaos went down in your day or whatever challenges arose for you today. can return to whatever you need to face with this sense of peace and sense of awareness. And invite yourself to take a deep breath, to be conscious of your breathing as you're working through something really challenging. And sometimes that long, deep breath is something that is so easily forgotten, something that escapes us so easily. And we just go through our whole day breathing like this, not really even taking a full breath, just taking the kind of breath that we need to get by. And that will get you through the day, but we want more for ourselves than just getting by. We want more for ourselves than just getting through the challenges and being okay. We want to be happy. We want to have peace in our hearts. We want to move into a new truth, a new phase of our lives that invites and welcomes goodness, change, purpose, and beauty. So as we navigate the remainder of this full moon energy, as you shift into accepting whatever is your newest version of truth, your newest version of love and light. Do not forget to breathe. Do not forget to be present with yourself. Accept all things as easily as you accept your inhale. Let go of all things that do not serve you as easily as you let out a long, deep exhale. Now you can stay here in your Shavasana as long as you'd like. I know I talked through it. I often do when I'm teaching these streaming classes. If you're ready, you can go ahead and roll over onto one side and just take a pause in your fetal position for a moment to express gratitude to yourself for making this time, for carving out this hour for your practice this evening. And then when you feel ready, you can press yourself up to a seated position. And I'll invite you to just take one final breath here with me. Taking a big breath in, reaching the arms up high. And with the biggest breath out, just let it all go. Hands to heart. Thank you so much for practicing with me this evening. The light in me sees, appreciates, honors, and respects the light and love in each of you. Thank you, my friends. Have a very happy full moon. If you are as stressed as I have been today, I hope that you're feeling a little bit better, and I hope that you are able to carry your breath with you into whatever is next in your evening, in your life, on your journey. So thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this. I teach a class that is free on YouTube live every new moon and full moon. The new moon class is a little bit more of a power yoga sequence. It's challenging, it is fast paced, and we do that to kind of kickstart our energy as we move into a new moon cycle. And this full moon, there's just like so much intense energy that I like to keep it as a slow flow so that we can just really release and kind of reset as the moon starts to wane down and, go back to whatever is going to be in our new beginning for the next cycle. So thank you again for joining me. Please let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to me by email or on Instagram if you would like to connect. If you have any suggestions, requests, or anything like that, I would love to hear from you. I hope you have a great day, and thank you very much.